stand and, we have quorum.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's stand and say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So move.
I can second.
Actually, Webb and Bertie.
No, Jim and Bert.
Sorry.
The other wing.
Heather Wayne. All right, everyone in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. We will have our financial report from Mr. Delacoste.
Hi, everybody. This is the first of 2 months where we justify why school districts need to have a fund balance. I'm gonna start with the general input cash receipts on the gray with the blue stripe. What you'll notice is that there is very little revenue in October, November, December, or late October, and yet we still have bills, which we'll get to in expenditures. On page 2, we did get a little smattering of special education and school age children aid, 33,000. We got 79,000 of our SAGE grant, totaling about 250,000. So that's about fourth of it. Tiny bit of sparsity aid, hence the name maybe, 11,700. And then a little bit of Title I that we've already claimed at 33,000. Other than that, all cash is helpful this time of year. So down on page 3, we were really grateful to get a few $1,000s in Medicaid. By the end of the year, that does add up. And very grateful that the Plainfield Lions wrote us a check for $31,000. Thank you, Lions, to cover a good chunk of the pickleball court construction. We should be, by the end of Thanksgiving break, that might be playable. They're putting up the fence and putting in some of the nets now. Well, and I say that because we painted temporary lines. I think, who did that? George did that just out of the goodness of his heart. So that if people wanted to play, they could on a warm, sunny day. But the epoxy will not go down till May. All right. See, that's how I get sidetracked, Miss Jody. All right. No other major cash receipts that have come in at this point. And that takes us to the green revenue report, which just reflects what I just said. We just talked about the cash that came in. These are the revenues. Very little change other than what I just discussed from last month's report, obviously.
No sparsity aid, budgeted at 235,220 and only $10 short, and it's showing 100%. Can't be 100%, it's not all.
Yeah, that is a good point. Tell me how far down.
694.
Okay. 105%?
Well, it's 100%, but it's $10 short of budgeted.
Oh, they are. Well, maybe they round up. That's my guess. 99.98. Yeah.
Even more than that, 99.999.
Yeah, probably is.
Wow, it should be that because the rest of it is
Why is it
two-digit.
$10 short?
Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, I'm gonna circle that one. I'll ask the coach when she gets back. All right, so moving on to checks and then expenditures, so blue and then pink. Just an explanation on math manipulatives in the middle of the first page, $2,500. That is actually something we got almost 2 years ago. We got it with our pilot for free, but then when we actually purchased the program after that year of exploration for this school year, then we actually had to go back and pay for some of those math manipulatives. And we did a little hunt, and they're all there, and they're all either being used or about to be used by all of our teachers. And apparently, having had a really good conversation with our 5th through 8th grade team, that is a really good way to improve our success in math. Getting kids to work with their hands on any sort of something they can manipulate. There I go. Jody, you gotta kick me. I can't tell you why, so please don't ask. The electrical was broken out into 4 parts, 3 of which paid almost nothing, and it looks like electrical athletics, maybe I should have used a ruler. So the school building, obviously, almost $9,000, I rounded up. I just can't believe the other three are that low.
Where are you, please?
I'm the top of page 2, sorry, I turned the page. I
Do
just,
they have that many meters here around the school?
maybe the meters are assigned for those areas. This building's got a meter, the school's got a meter.
Well, that's right.
I just don't know what athletics, oh, that's the
Administration.
football field, I got See? And then there's the maintenance building, Butler building. Oh, so you guys knew, well, thank you.
$32 for this building per month.
We keep the lights off, yeah, and Jody doesn't let us
It's in
turn,
the dark all day.
we sit in the dark, Jody doesn't let us turn the heat on. You yelled at me that one time about AC, so we weren't allowed to turn that on. We don't use hot water, just cold. No, that is a little low. I'm shocked that's so low. Do remember this isn't a full month because Skyward shutdown began last week, so you're only getting financials through the beginning of Skyward shutdown, which was 11/22. Today's 11/26, so you're missing a little bit. Just pointing out that musical instruments are super expensive. The kitchen equipment maintenance, just below that, still on page 2, middle or low. That is a garbage disposal that finally burnt out that Scott was able to replace.
$4,600.
Yep, industrial stuff ain't cheap. Yeah, I know. I was shocked, but
Get it rolled.
yeah. For the record,
That's what we quote.
oh gosh, yeah. You see that one of the bill from the county for 24,000 came in for the pickleball courts, the paving. That's top of page 3 now, and I didn't have anything else yellowed, but maybe you did from home. There was a lot of C5 now, and we get into a lot of Fund 27s. So I'm just gonna go to the pink, and then I'll answer any questions you might have. The pink should simply represent what we just talked about on the blue. And as you know, I always look for, and I didn't yellow anything on the pink this month, probably because it was a little bit of a shorter month. Nothing jumped out on me on the pink, other than what I just spoke about. So, any questions on any of the financials?
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
If we go back to page,
Just give me a color.
white, I got, okay, the blue one, I got
Oh, yeah.
the white page from what I did.
Okay,
The middle,
Second, third page?
the second page,
gotcha.
in the middle there with all the contracted services.
C5, yep.
I guess, again, my question is, how come it doesn't tell us what the service is?
Oh, okay. So you're just asking to have that,
Well, I mean, there's like about 9 or 10
yeah,
there from, 8,000, 15,000, 18,000. We
Yeah.
can see what it's for.
Two of them are for Fund 10.
yeah. Four of them are special education. So the 27s are all special educations, and 4 of them are Fund 10. Yeah.
5 actually, but,
5
Oh yeah.
and 4.
Oh yeah, 5.
Fund
You're
10.
right.
and 5 are.
I can have Cindy send you an email on that differentiation.
And then,
yep.
then on page 3,
Gotcha.
down, the business services, there's 2 checks to CISA, 4,900 and 4,100.
Seeds training, are you down there?
Yeah, just above seats
Oh, I
training.
see it, I see it.
Yeah, 192 and then
Yeah.
down below 193.
1106. And they're on the same date, which is interesting.
Is that more for Cindy's help or?
They don't have codes on this sheet. These are checks. Yeah, I would. That would be my guess, but without having Cindy to ask. But
I mean, when I've asked before, that's what it.
then it probably is.
been,
Yep.
But
Yeah. Yep. Some of that's. It certainly. That would be my guess too. Anything else?
then on the next page, on 4, question about, 209, 9880-209. There's, 4,000 for special ed math curriculum and 28,000. So the math curriculum that we've got for the other stuff doesn't work for special ed.
So if we order it, I'm gonna say this carefully. If we order the curriculum, if the curriculum is used for special education students in part, we can order it through Fund 27. Even if it also might be used for some regular ed students. And the curriculum we purchased in the last year or in the summer for $44,000 was for K-8. This year, we also purchased curriculum for 9-12, separate purchase, and special education. There's wisdom in ordering chunks of that curriculum through Fund 27 if it is even in part being used for special education kids, because we are reimbursed on those dollars versus putting them in Fund 10 and saying they're only for 9-12, high school curriculum, algebra, trigonometry, whatever. So that's why that's listed as it is there. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Right below that, is the transportation.
Yeah.
Again, I guess I question why, Northern Express, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
But, when I got told a month or 2 ago when I asked about it, they said, well, it's too long to put on. Well, I guess I don't understand. They got bus contract, athletics, FT, field trips,
Yeah.
fuel for all 4 of them. Why can't they just name
Yeah.
each one of what it is?
And I believe that is, and again, I think Cindy answered that last time, but I can certainly re-ask her.
But I mean, to me, it is,
Yeah, it is. But that would be the same answer. She can only pay bills in how they're billed. So she could explain it each time, but her POs, and this I think you guys talked about it extensively. I understand her quite often, and it came up recently actually. She can only pay bills legally, or the auditors will freak out, in the exact same way they are billed to her. They have to match. The bill received and the invoice has to match the bill paid, and what we have to print for you is the invoice and the check and the descriptions that are on them. So we can't, on this stuff, add to it, but we could. It probably wouldn't be horribly hard to break it out, or ask Safeway to break it out.
well, that's what I mean.
They have business managers.
I mean, or Northern Express, there's, like
Yeah.
I say, they're both different ways to do it. And,
All right, I hear you, and I don't think that's unreasonable.
okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? All right, then I would entertain a motion to, adopt the payment of checks and receipts of revenue from October 23rd to November 22nd.
So, second.
Ah.
I got Jim Knutson first.
All right. In that order.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Public forum. Is anyone here for the public forum? Yes, ma'am.
Had to show up this time.
Okay. Oh, wait, I have to read the thing here.
I'll read your thing here.
I would like to welcome our guests and thank you for your interest regarding school affairs. Each of you, if you would, I should have this memorized. Each of you, if you wish, will be allowed to address the board during our public forum. The public forum is at the option of the board. Please keep in mind that this is a meeting of the district board that is open to the public and not a public meeting. Each participant is to stand, identify herself by name and address. She will direct his or her remarks to the board. Those who speak shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes in length and will be allowed to speak only once until those who wish to participate have spoken. Groups are asked to designate a spokesperson to make their presentation. The presiding officer shall reserve the right to limit, discontinue, or reopen audience participation at any time. No action shall be taken by the board on any matter presented to the board during the public comment unless the subject has been properly posted pursuant to Wisconsin open meeting law. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Virginia McGregor. I live at 54962 Second Avenue in Plainfield. And I would just wanted to talk to the board about a few things tonight. First of all, I'd let the board know that we had a very good participation in the Badger Boy, Badger Girl dinner, which unfortunately was held on the same night as the Strategic Planning Committee meeting, and I apologize that I couldn't be in two places at one time. But I did want to let the board know that we are, through the American Legion and the Auxiliary, we're fully committed to making this program available year after year for students, and I do promise that I will be less confused next time. I was not supposed to moderate that program, however, I think it turned out okay. So that was number one. Number two, during some discussion, maybe at the planning committee meeting, there was talk of like our enrollment is increasing. And while I haven't had time to, I will be inquiring as to how much is our enrollment increasing? And are we projecting that at some point we're gonna get back to the 800 plus students we had when my grandchildren started school? Because that would be wonderful and we'd get a lot more money, but I hope that we're not being overly optimistic in our numbers or our projections of what we're thinking for the students to come to Tri-County, mainly because no one wants kids anymore. But the other thing I wanted to say is I saw in the newspaper this week about the honor roll. And I do have some concern that such a high percentage of students end up on the honor roll. And it makes you wonder about the grading system. Now, I already understand that DPI has realigned their thinking about achievement and how you measure achievement. And I, as a grandparent, custodial grandparent, I'm concerned for our students and our upcoming students that our grading is not being excessively lenient, because to me it appears that some students, a higher percentage of students, maybe wouldn't be on the honor roll if we were being honest in our grading and in our expectations for our grade levels. And that's all I have to say. And I would apologize when my granddaughter shows up at that door. I will be leaving because she will not stay for the rest of the meeting. So, and she's at play practice. Just so you know, I'm not running out the door for any particular reason. Just when she shows up, gotta go. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. We have items A through E.
I'll quickly make a motion
Okay, go for it.
to accept the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second, Mr. Miller. All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda as it appears, A through E?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I just wanna add something, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I happened to ask Kayla something about volleyball is over, how come she wasn't playing basketball?
Great question,
I
Jim.
don't know if
Thank
you wanna tell them what you told me you're doing instead of playing basketball?
I
We
am
just-
wrestling this year. I
Wrestling.
decided to wrestle this year because we have actually the first girls wrestling team ever in Tri-County history.
Cool.
There are about 6 or 7 girls, and it takes 5 to make a team. So
Cool. All right, good job. All right, moving on. Unfinished business, we have none. Moving on to new business, we have none. Correspondence, do we have any correspondence?
None.
Exciting. For Thanksgiving break.
Reports then, let's move on then to those. Let's start with the FFA convention report. Ladies and gentlemen.
here they come. There's Elsa's hand.
I'll get on the line.
Oh, no, you're fine. I
turn
turned this way over here.
You're pretty sure?
Oh, I need to see that.
Oh, boy.
So while we wait for this to power up, we have 7 students here tonight. We took 8 students to Indianapolis for the National FFA Convention. Lily is at basketball, so she's not here with us tonight, but we do have a good portion of the students. So they're just gonna go through, first they're gonna introduce themselves, they're gonna say what grade they're in, and how many times they've been to National Convention before, and then we'll just do a quick recap, and then any questions that you guys have afterwards, you're allowed to answer questions.
Go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacob Ernst. I'm in 11th grade, and this is my first time going to National Convention.
I'm Kaylee Goman. I'm the FFA reporter. I'm a junior, and this is my second time going.
I'm Brianna Garcia. I'm a 10th grader, and this is my first time going.
My name is Grace Stetler. I am the secretary for FFA. I'm a junior, and this is my second time going.
I'm Carly Barge. This is my first time going, and I am a sophomore, and I am Sentinel.
I'm Quentin Wilkins, 11th grader, and this was my first time going. I'm Wyatt Wilkins. I'm the treasurer, and I'm a senior, and this is my third time going.
Alright, so on Tuesday, October 2nd, we got up bright and early and came to the school and loaded up the bus. And then our first stop was in Illinois at Hummel Livestock. They started off in the livestock business, but they wanted to be unique and do something different, so they started breeding African wildcats with domestic cats. And a first generation breed of those goes for like $30,000. They also had a kangaroo, and then they also breed and sell show goats, and they take a good look into their genetics, and then they sell them all around the world.
Later that day, we went to Fair Oaks Farm Big Adventure, and we got to learn about how they produce thousands of pigs, and we got to see the stages of the pigs getting raised. They also have a dairy section where they produce Fairlife milk, and but we didn't get to go to that section.
They feel like we were only there for 10, like we were there for 3 hours and just saw the
On Monday, we got up and went to a tour of Southside Landfill. We actually started out at Buffer Park Golf Course, which is a 9-hole golf course, said to be one of the nicest in Indiana. The golf course is actually the buffer zone between the landfill and the surrounding neighborhoods, so that trash and stuff doesn't blow in the neighborhoods. And then after leaving the golf course and learning about just different ways they keep the environment healthy and cover up garbage every night with dirt so it doesn't blow everywhere, then we made our way over to the actual landfill, where we rode around on the tour bus with the tour guide, and he told us all about the landfill and that there's actually a mine under the landfill that they grind limestone out of to make concrete. And then they have Texas longhorns that walk around and eat grass around the sides of the landfill. So we got to learn about those, and then we just learned all about how they pick up trash from different surrounding areas of Indianapolis and all sorts of cool stuff.
Our bus driver said that was one of the coolest things that she's ever gotten to do, because she got to drive on the path through the landfill.
Later that day, we had our first opening session where we had our keynote speaker. His name was Kevin Wanzer. His big picture that he wanted us to understand was that everybody's deserving of love. And he had a lot of extra good points on top of that. And then after this, in the convention center, there's 2 spots. So there was an expo room, and then there was a shopping center where you could buy stuff. And in the expo room, there was colleges, there was equipment dealers, Lincoln Welding. We had a booth there. Pretty much anything you can imagine, they were there.
Thursday morning on October 24th, we headed to the Subaru factory, where the first thing we started out is we learned how they paint their SUVs and cars, and then we walked through the offices where their HR management is. Finally, we ended on the catwalk to see the process from them building the parts of the car to them test driving outside.
Later that day, we went to a dinner theater. They started off at a buffet. We saw Fiddler on the Roof when we were there, and the waiter was it was a good experience.
Outgoing.
Better than they anticipated.
Friday, October 25th, we were up early to go back to Lucas Stadium to watch another presentation by Dr. Temple Grandin. And she talked about how everybody has a place in this world to do something, and how visually thinking and learning is a great way to learn and think. And always remember to be creative and with your mind and your hands, and I guess probably stay a little bit away from the books and be more creative with your mind than anything. And then later that day we got to go see a rodeo. They were very supportive of the FFA, and it was a great experience.
Some other things we would like to mention, we traveled to Indianapolis with Rio, Montello, Westfield, Poinette, and Portage FFA chapter. We are all very grateful that we got to try many new local restaurants and different kinds of food. And thank you to the TCFFA alumni for sponsoring each and every one of us to head down there.
So the kids just kind of like highlighted the main things that we do, but they literally were up every day before 7 o'clock, sometimes even before that, and we wouldn't get back to the hotel until 9:30 at night. We'd be like, you have an hour and then you need to go to bed because we're going to do it all over again the next day. So they're always on the go. The kids did great. They definitely represented Tri-County well. They seemed to have a good time. They all want to go back next year, except for Wyatt. You can go. Do you guys have any questions?
That's great.
Why do they want to breed domestic cats with wild cats?
They wanted to like do something different that hasn't been done before.
Are people buying them? Yeah.
Yeah. They told us that Justin Bieber has bought like 2 of them.
The generation one, like they're not even friendly. Like they're not even nice to have as pets. Like people just want them because they're unique. You need like a G3 or something they said. I mean, those ones are only like 6,000.
So are they little cats? Like cat cats?
Yeah, they're like this big.
Yeah.
They were kind of hard to see because we weren't allowed to go by them because of biosecurity, but. Imagine them were friendly. It was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
True. Your birds nowadays would be a lot more.
So you did learn a little bit from Temple Grandin of a different way of looking at animals and life and everything? She's a different person. She is. Met her a couple times.
I know I've heard that name a million times.
Yeah, she's pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Well, my school was
That's
we
right.
learned about Temple Grandin in like animal science, and we talked about her in her intro classes. And the kids were like, actually, and then we thought she would talk more about like animal husbandry and like how she designs things for like the slaughterhouses. But she really focused on like everyone learns differently, and we all have a place because of that, which was fun.
Good job. Do you guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting, or do you want to go home and do homework and read Shakespeare?
Break, leave them alone.
Read wild cats.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a great break.
Perfect, yes. Well, Jody put it in your packet, just because I felt last year I blah, blah, blah a lot, and I mean, you were very complimentary, but it's a lot of information to take in, and if you wanna compare numbers and look at, how we started this season, a lot of us
We didn't
started,
go get one, so.
No.
it was in the
It was in your
packet.
It was in the email.
Oh, in the email packet. I gotta go get it. Okay.
Well,
I didn't
fine.
get that.
If you look at a lot of the numbers, real quick, I'm not gonna talk too long, but hopefully. But if you look at a lot at the starting numbers and then the finishing numbers, they're very good. So, and we find that to be traditional, once we start school, then we have, you know, the athletes have
a ride to school, and then they stay after school. They just need to figure out that ride home. So yeah, our numbers increased, which is super exciting. We had a wonderful turnout at our fall sports banquet. We have the penguin pump up and going, yay! So when I go to Wild Rose, I always support theirs, and I think they're at like $27,000 for the year. And so, and that's just for their athletics. So we are stoked that this is out at the Sitco station. So both sides. And when I went in to pay, they thanked me for using the penguin pumps.
It's on both sides.
Up one of the pumps. So I don't know if there's anything else that
Number 11.
I just wanted to point out, not on here, we attended the AD conference a Sunday through a Tuesday a couple weeks ago. And we went to the new AD training. I think we learned probably the most there. We had some great guest speakers and other things, sessions, but that was the best, probably 2 hours that we spent, and we shared, everybody had to go around and share their best fall highlight. And Tri-County came up in 2 of the other AD reports. So one of them is Sean Groshek from Adams Friendship. He is the AD. He did go to Amherst and now is back at Adams. He was last year's, he's the past president of WADA. And he said his compliment, the greatest moment while losing the soccer game to Tri-County, he was doing the score. He said to see our fans, athletes, coaches, especially in the last like 5 minutes as that time ticked down. But great sportsmanship throughout. And he just said, yeah, even though we lost, like it was so cool to see those kids and the fans rush across the field when they won their match. So that was super exciting. The other one is a new AD at Fall River, and that's where we played our sectional semifinal game. The gym was packed. It was standing room only. And when I walked in, I remember it because I'm in high school in Westfield. So we played Fall River. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to fit all these people in because I knew we had a great following that came with us. And she stood up, and for her highlight was organizing those events. But the way that our sportsmanship, again, and the communication between our schools to make sure that we had everything, that we could take our band. They had a spot for them. They organized who was going to play, rotating the music and things like that. So that was her compliment. And I thought that was pretty awesome out of all the people that were there. That
We got 2 shout outs.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all I have.
Any questions? Thanks. Thank you very much.
Did you get out that ticket? Oh, remember you met
No.
that partner? You had to pay it? Yeah.
All right, Mr. Galakowski.
Alrighty. So the DPI report cards are out. I hope you got a chance to read in your packet. I'll say this as dispassionately as I can, that this year DPI has made it very clear that the scores cannot really count because they have recalibrated the test. And in that 2-page article I put in your packet, they did inform us that next year's they will recalibrate again. That being the case, the state does require us to report these scores in the Argus, so that's been sent to the Argus. So was the article.
So was this sent to the
That was also sent to the Argus. Yep.
Explanation?
Yes.
Sorry.
You know, so I won't even say good news. The district is up a chunk. The middle school is up a hefty chunk. The high school is static. The elementary school did fall 5 or 6 points, which and fell into the does not meet expectations. But again, of the 4 reports, 2 up a lot, up a little, static, down a chunk. Not even a chunk, down a little. So I'm not going to give a whole lot more credence to that. It's when DPI tells you that they're recalibrating, please don't put much credence into this, and you have that article directly from DPI in your packets. I'm not going to spend too much more time on that other than I'm mandated by the state to report it to the board. So, any questions on that?
I think the board should have a meeting with you on that situation.
on,
the elementary.
we certainly can talk about a lot of wonderful things, but I don't know, yeah, we certainly can.
I guess my problem is with it, we've been down to the bottom for the last 2 years,
Yeah,
and
oh, longer than that, yeah.
we used to be on top for years in our elementary compared to our middle school and high school. We won
Not
awards,
quite.
we,
Not quite, but we can
Year-
get
years
all the
ago,
years.
but-
I actually looked because they've only been really doing this since 2016. We've never exceeded or significantly exceeded. But there were some good years. There was one year that they only counted achievement. They didn't count growth. What we're getting dinged on, our achievement is quite good. Our growth is what we're getting dinged on. So,
but
yeah.
that's why I'm asking about a meeting to hear from you or whoever.
Yeah.
To explain to us, because to me, I don't understand when
Yeah.
you can say it's low.
Did you get a chance to read the DPI article?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've read.
So you know
I
that-
read a couple different articles.
But the one I provided you.
But
Yeah.
my question is,
Yeah.
how come we sunk so much lower than the last 2 years, and our surrounding schools? I don't
Actually,
even want to say how high they are in that.
I can tell you that a report, I can share with you a report from the CWC. We are one of the only school districts that's actually gone up in the last 5 years in the CWC. Most of the other school districts, they started extremely high. They've all stayed static or fallen in several of the areas. But I can share all those reports with you. Good comment. Yeah, we can get together.
But when, and again, I don't like really putting numbers out and, but.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, if you put a lot of stock in these DPI numbers, we can spend a lot of time talking about them. I mean, there's reports up the wazoo. We can look at them 17 different ways.
but, and I understand, but what you're saying about the growth or some of the achievement stuff, but when you, okay, like I think, I ran off here, I think someplace, surrounding schools in our county, and I think Wild Rose is 79.
They drop? I know Watoma dropped significantly, and they wrote a
Watoma
separate
had
article.
3 of them, and I think they're in the middle 60s.
But did they all fell from last year?
Well, but they're 20 ahead of us.
Yeah. And have been.
And Elmond was, I think, 50, middle 50s, and Westfield had, or let's see, Watoma has 2, I think, and Westfield had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And they were all up in the 60s,
Yep.
middle 60s.
Yep.
So that's my concern.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, use the other things, but,
I'm not. I mean, I would love to see these scores get higher. We're working on, and the first thing we have to do is make sure that we have the right teachers in place. We're working on getting the right curriculum in place. This is the first year of the new math curriculum, and we're actually working on that mentoring and coaching right now. Just in the last week or two, making sure the teachers are using the manipulatives that came with the programming, making sure that they have the support and the training they need to teach it. But it's happening right now. So yeah, that we've been extremely low, one of the lowest in the state for 3 years, stinks. It absolutely stinks, but it's not something that you're gonna change in a year or 2 years. It's gonna take some serious time.
but it's been 3 years, that's my problem.
Well, but we haven't been, this is the first year we've got the new math curriculum, and I think, and we're just getting on in the reading. And our scores are extremely low in both.
I thought you had math curriculum last year too.
We piloted it last year. We actually started it with Fidelity 2 months ago. So you're not gonna see that change last April when this test was taken. When you're piloting a program. So we're actually starting it this year with Fidelity. We purchased it in June. And now it's going to take a couple of years. I hope you're not expecting it to be super high next year, because that's not how this works. It doesn't change in 9 months. I hope it's higher, but when the state already tells me that they're recalibrating, who knows what it's going to do when they're recalibrating these tests. But I have the same exact concerns. I mean, that's obvious. That's why we're putting so much energy and time into writing these situations. And again, I don't think it's the staff. I think we got the right staff in place. What's after staff? The curriculum. Those are basically the 2 pieces. And we just started working on the curriculum. But yeah, we can absolutely talk about this and get reports up the wazoo, if you'd like that.
And when we're done, we'll be at the same place we are right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you have to go on for hours now and talk about this, I'm not going to. What we have to do as a board, in my mind, is just to make sure that the administration gives the proper, information and guidance to the staff to improve.
Right.
And we may improve one year, it may go back down the next year. We have different kids, all these things come into play. And to compare ourselves with another school, to me, is just, that's all I need to say.
Why do they keep recalibrating?
Because it's so false.
Heavy jobs, Wes. What's that? You need to justify heavy jobs.
Exactly.
And because it's so
Because it's
broken.
rather unfair. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll still go back to I'm a simple-minded individual. Math is math, science is science, English is English. Why do we keep reinventing the wheel?
Just look at
Because
look
they
at
always
the
think there's something
readings.
better, and they're always trying to teach
They
different.
recalibrate because it's
The
such a
articles
broken report.
and the articles and things that we read daily, right? Almost daily from Jody. It's just maybe it's because I've been here too long, but it's just an ongoing thing of what you're gonna do, what you're not gonna do, and how we're gonna improve, and how this really worked, and that really, the bottom line is, you teach the kids.
But the question in my gut, again, and maybe I'm out of my, why are all the other schools sitting up here?
Because they're much
And-
better than us. How does that sound?
Well,
Does
then,
that answer your question?
well, okay,
They're not.
if that's the case, then why aren't we finding out why we're sitting down here at the bottom?
And
I
can,
mean-
There's
yeah,
too many,
I
there's
can
too
tell
many
you,
circumstances that will
Yeah.
change the issues.
well, Jim, there's only a couple of answers. They have better teachers. False. I don't believe that for a second.
No.
There's no way. They have better curriculum that matches the standards. That has been true, but we're working on that. Or they have better students. False. I will never believe that.
And that might be just your opinion with better curriculum, because it's always changing.
Yeah, and they're changing it every year. But if I have to choose, if I have to answer why they're higher, I'm not gonna. I know it's not better teachers. I know it's not better students. So we're gonna start by looking at the curriculum, and that doesn't change things overnight. But we can talk more about
And
it.
that's what we're supposed to make sure that you have
Yes.
the abilities to get the curriculum that you and the staff think is necessary.
Right.
Right.
And we search out the best curriculum that we can find and take time getting it and work with the staff to get it.
And we as a board don't know what that curriculum is, we're not qualified
Absolutely.
to evaluate.
But that's
curriculums.
part of what we're elected to oversee. Our administration is supposed to run the school.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're supposed to ask questions, like, I'm
Yes,
hoping
and
to
that's what we
attend
are.
this,
We're
the
asking
school
Good
board
conversation.
convention next month.
Awesome.
And one of the pre-convention workshops is about data, which I've always been about data, and that's not everything.
Okay.
But that's what I sat in on
Yeah.
a whole bunch of different seminars.
Good.
And the ones that have, they look at the data, the board
Yeah.
meets with the administration and they discuss how they can get these scores up. And I sat in on so many
Yeah.
that of different ways they went from this to this in just a year or two.
I've
Right.
seen it happen in
Over
a
the
couple.
years, and over those years,
Yeah.
those seminars, and I've gone to enough of them where I got whatever stars you get. I've got the highest number of stars, I'm sure you do as well. You, every year, there's somebody else showing a different dog and pony show.
Right.
And then another, there's another dog and pony show. It's just, I don't know why I'm talking, I'm sorry. to take
And
up your time.
I'll say for a third time, happy to have that meeting that you asked for, if that's the question. And I don't think, we just spent 10 minutes now talking about one of the 4 reports. If we're gonna talk that long about one of the 4 reports, we should talk about the other 3 that went up significantly or got better. We should make sure that we're talking about that too. We shouldn't talk about the one of the 4 that went down. There's 3 that went up, and one of them, the middle school, significantly. And there's a lot of teachers that put a lot of effort last year into using a lot of programming and curriculum to work on those scores. I'd love to say that was a direct result of all that work they put in, but because they recalibrated this test,
Doesn't
I
mean
can't.
much.
I can't say that with scientific certainty. But I'd love to have them. Yes,
One
Jim.
of the things that was interesting that, from the FFA people, is they had a seminar where they talked about every child or every student learns differently.
Yeah.
And with different methods and so forth. So I think that one of the things that I understand with the math is that there are manipulatives and things like that kids can learn different ways of doing the same thing. And I think that's so important. Back 100 years ago when I was principal, we talked about the fact that all the kids don't learn the same.
Right.
And you have to do different things to help them achieve the same goal. And you know, one of the things that happens is we have politicians, I'm on my soapbox now, politicians that fiddle with education who haven't a clue, not a clue. They remember how they were taught, so they figure everybody should be taught the same way. And things aren't that way anymore. The whole society is entirely different, the things that are presented. So I think that we have to give this new math especially a chance to build up a background of knowledge or a background of ways of doing things maybe a little different. They're starting in kindergarten, I'm sure, aren't they?
Starting what, the curriculum? Yes.
That with the manipulatives and all the rest of the stuff. So that's going to add or multiply as it goes to first grade, second grade, third grade, because every child will have this opportunity to learn a new way of doing something, doing those kinds of things. What I think anyway.
Thank you, Jim. Skyward. I mentioned it already. So we are at the middle front end of a new financial program called Skyward Cume or Q. It doesn't affect the student information side, so it's not about how teachers enter grades. It's not about all of that, but it is all of the how folks enter POs, how we enter, I believe, like the time off and stuff. Is that on the financial side? So all of the stuff that happens in the business office, which is a huge part of how Skyward works, we are overhauling that entire system, Skyward. So, and we have to. The good news is we're going to be on the front end because in a couple, 3 years, every school district has to do this. Skyward will no longer support the old system. It's got a lot of awesome packages. I guess I just want to warn you, you may hear in the next 1 to 6 weeks, hey, Skyward's really been a struggle. I'm not sure how to do this. You may get the financial reports maybe a little bit skewed because there's going to be a lot of the rollover has been tedious for other districts, and we're hoping ours will be smoother. Jody's been working her tail off on it, but for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months, honestly, since the beginning of summer. But I just wanted you guys to be aware that that's happening. So you may hear rumblings about Skyward. They're probably deserved, but it's going to be a very good product in the end. We're going to be in a much better place. So, also met with a roofer to get bids on the roof. I'll report on that at a different meeting once I get those in hand. But had a good meeting with a potential situation that might be real good for us. I don't want to get my hopes up. So,
As a little bit of a side note,
sure.
For our benefit, Jim King, the founder of Skyward, is a
Yes.
very good friend of mine.
Yes.
And he talks all the time. And he asks me questions about things that I really don't know the answers to.
Yeah.
But if you guys got a problem, he wants to know, and he'll send somebody over right away. He's really, really interested in our school to make sure it's right.
I'm pretty sure we mentioned a small problem to you in front of him at the golf outing, and we had 3 people call us within a day. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, no, we appreciate that, Jim. All right.
Okay. On to our student representative, Kyla.
All right. So the high school theater is putting on a play on December 6th and 7th. It's called Angels of Baton, and it features events in the World War II. But Teachers are actually in this play, so it's getting involved with everyone in the school. And that'll be held in the lecture hall. And there's a choir concert on December 13th in 6th through 12th, so middle and high school. It is a winter show for everyone in the lecture hall. The band concert will be on December 16th, run by Mr. Kozak in the high school gym, and that is also 6th through 12th. Winter sports have just started, girls and boys basketball, their season is warming up. Wrestling, as we talked about, there's now a girls team this year, hopefully that continues. Quiz Bowl, we just had our first practice last week, but now we're on halt because of break, so that'll start up and then we'll begin our meets soon. And yeah, and what's next? Math League. We just had our first actual competition for this school year at UWSP. Mr. Ponis is now running that. Forensics has not started up yet. FBLA is actually Future Business Leaders of America. That is a new club, thanks to Mr. Marty, but it is run by Mr. Zelmer. I did mention it.
Thanks to him.
I did mention it to Mr. Marty. I learned about it throughout this summer, going on a lot of trips. A lot of other schools have this as a club, and it seemed like a really good opportunity for other students to get out and something good to have on your transcripts. So I'm glad he started that. NHS this year, we are going to Minnesota. We just started our fundraising, and yeah. This month, the featured class is the seniors. How ironic. It has been going really good. Senior year has been going very well. It's going by very fast. I do want to highlight our percent of students that are actually doing school to work this year. I'm not sure what the percent is, but I think it's around 15 out of the 40 students that we have, girls and boys. A lot of the boys do it. And a lot of the students this year are actually graduating early, thanks to your guys' approval. Another thing that I wanted to note was the amount of students that are taking college classes this year at UWSP and Midstate. There is a huge turnout of students that have taken the opportunity to advance their learning and continue college classes while in high school. So thank you guys for the approval of that also. And yeah, I think that's it.
Good job.
Yeah, I have a question, Kayla. Is there a first nighters for the play? Where they have a dinner and stuff, or is that?
Not this year.
Not this year.
Not this
Okay,
year,
Thank you.
Rock the Gym is actually on Friday.
Oh, same night.
Yeah.
Which is
when we all play
Yeah,
against
yeah.
Almond.
Okay.
So it's
Boys and girls varsity, and they sell
and JV.
hyped up
Raffles.
sandwiches and raffles.
Sandwich.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. She would be the poster child for taking advantage of all of those opportunities here, which is awesome. She's been a fantastic addition here. She came in as a freshman, right? Really, yeah.
Restarted freshman year here, actually.
Yeah.
I started on Maui and then came back and started 28 days later.
Oh, they started way early.
Yeah, we started in August there.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, such a wonderful, wonderful addition. And she's the class president too. So busy girl. So, all right. So I wanted to just talk about a few things. First thing being this program that we kind of stumbled upon this year that may become the tool that we use actually with like our 9th and our 10th graders and our juniors moving forward. So we've done this fall testing day the last couple of years, and we did these. 8th graders took a special practice practice pre-ACT. 9th and 10th took a practice pre-ACT, and juniors have taken like a practice ACT the last 2 years. This program, so I was talking with the ACT vendor in the state over the course of the summer, and we were talking about getting set up so our 8th, 9th, and 10th graders could take this pre-ACT, and then he got on this program that they're just trying to kind of start up in the state or to get wings in the state, called ACT Online Prep. And he said the cost was something, I don't remember what it was going to be originally, $23 or something like that a student.
But then when he kind of looked at again our demographics, we were able to get kind of a school-wide reduction in cost down to $14 per student. And the cool thing about this program is all of our juniors have an account. And so like if we do this fall testing day, they can actually take a pair of like full-on practice ACTs over the course of the year. In addition to that, hold on, I was looking at this here. There's all sorts of like modules that they can work on over the course of the year. So they can work on it independently on their own. So like they have their own user account. They can monitor their growth in math or English or reading or science, right? They can do practice writing assessments. They can do these within the class context or within Impact if we want to like assign like a practice, like just do some math booster problems, like we could do it within our Impact as our test prep. But it's all like in this one package, and it's a 12-month deal for like $14 a kid. So it's a really like lots of power within it. Everybody's done the one practice ACT. As I kind of look through this a little bit here, it looks like some of the kids maybe have kind of on their own, because they can just kind of gone in and dabbled around with it. But like I think we pay, I think it's $17 a test for the practice pre-ACT or the pre-ACTs to get scored and you get that data back, right? Just to get the data back and be able to like reference back to the questions and see how, like this is a lot more interactive and there's a lot more like just potential like power within this. So the big question is it like overkill to be like having the kids working on an ACT an 11th grade platform when they're in 9th and 10th grade? Is that the pre-ACT that the kids are taking is a 10th grade test, so it's like you're not really far down the road from that. So we may end up using this for everybody next year, but it's pretty cool, and I think we're going to get a lot of use out of it over the course of the year. So anyway, I wanted to share that. Wanted to also share this is not like an unprecedented thing by any stretch, but it's something that we haven't had a whole put together of in prior years. So Miss Kay, or in the past Mr. Paul's, or Miss Nugent, or Mr. they in the late winter, kind of getting into the second semester is usually when you do like course registration for the following school year, and they're kind of the hub of communication and information with the students, and they go and visit. Whether it be, usually I think it's the English classes, but they can talk to all the students, all the grade levels, get them the packet of information for the courses. And this has kind of come up in like passing over the years, but it's never really gotten traction. And I think we got a group of personnel right now that are gonna kind of take this and run with it. And we're gonna use that February 20th, which is the parent-teacher conference day in February, which is a day before, there's an in-service day after that. And we're gonna do for lack of a better name, we're going to call it a course options fair, and we're going to, so our high school classes will all have functions that day, and we're going to bring our 8th graders into it as well. The juniors, we're thinking on that day, because again, they know the routine, they know what's there, they know what they want to take. They kind of it's not quite such a it's not such an unknown. So we're going to use that to do a second practice ACT for them, because they'll take their ACT a couple weeks later. We're going to ask the seniors if they would be so kind as to help us as be like advisory panels in these different departments. So we're going to send groups of 8th graders, groups of 9th graders, and groups of 10th graders around on a schedule, and we're going to have just paired up departments. So people can kind of, hopefully, they'll end up doing these discussions like 6 times with 6 different groups of kids, and as they come through. And we'll have departments. So basically, it's like an opportunity to go down to Tech Ed and to listen to Carl talk about his what's there. What do these classes actually look like? What does it involve, rather than again reading a blip on in a catalog. Be able to see some of the things that they might be playing with. Same thing with agri-science and art and business, Spanish, health and PE. Music, we'll have Jesse and Crystal together, social studies electives areas, the science electives, and then Mrs. K is going to do like non-traditional options, so like some of the college options and things like that. So the kids will kind of work through a morning that day in 6 of these different stations, and just get access to be able to ask questions. Hopefully we'll have a group of seniors in each of those rooms, right, in each of those 6 places, that then they can ask questions to them. They can be totally honest about what they liked or didn't like about different different classes, and so I think it'll be a cool thing. So that'll be in February. And then I wanted to, I don't know, did this get emailed to them? That
Yep.
It did? Okay, so you got an email a week or so ago about the AP honor roll, which is kind of a cool recognition that we received. And so I don't know if you read that packet that came in, but there's basically 3 criteria that College Board looks at. They're who run the AP program. So they look at something called college culture, which says 40% or more of your graduating cohort took at least one AP exam during high school. So we checked that box. College credit, which says 25% or more of the graduating cohort scored a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam during high school, which is pretty cool. And then college optimization says 2% or more of the graduating cohort took 5 or more AP exams during high school. At least one of those exams was taken in 9th through 10th grade. So 2% when you have classes of 40 is like a student or two, right? But again, we offer, I think we have 8 active this year. As Mr. Zelmer brought in AP microeconomics. So it's cool. And one of the, you just got to do the really quick panning of the page for any of our, our neighbors. And we were the only school in the CWC that was on this, which is kind of cool. And then, the Rapids area, the Point area, neither Spash nor Pacelli nor Lincoln nor Assumption was on. So that was kind of a cool thing that, so, yeah, definitely was worth sharing. So anyway, that's what I got.
Thank you. I'm gonna read Brittany's quick. So I sent her home, she just wasn't feeling well, but Brittany, goals from DPI report card. 3rd grade language arts, multi-year average points based proficiency. So Brittany dug into this report card significantly. Maybe this will answer some of Mr. Knudsen's questions. 3rd grade language arts, multi-year average points based proficiency is right on track with the state. State score is 57, ours was 57.1. School-wide attendance score is higher than the state. State was 93.2, we're at 90.3. Okay. Following areas are where we are the most proud. In 2021-22 school year, 81.5% of our students with disabilities were falling into the below basic, with no students with disabilities meeting grade level proficiency. Our most recent scores show that we are down from 81 to 53% of students with disabilities in the lowest category, and we went from 0 to 42.9% of students with disabilities approaching proficiency, and an additional 3.6 of students with disabilities who are meeting grade level proficiency. That's really awesome. In 21-22 school year, we only had 22.6% of our economically disadvantaged population of students reaching grade level proficiency on the Ford exam. And now this past year, we are up from 22% to 41.6% meeting grade level proficiency, and another 1.3% at the advanced level from our economically disadvantaged. So our special ed and our economically disadvantaged went up hundreds and hundreds of percentiles in the last couple of years. Growth being weighted so heavily and our small student population size are really the downfalls here. But we have expanded our intervention program, well that is true, there's a good answer, and made our student group sizes during that half hour for reading and half hour for math smaller. Our teachers have participated in training to better equip them with the tools they need to help struggling students within their classroom, not only in small groups, but during whole class instruction as well. I'm proud of our staff despite a one-time test, and I am expressed to them the hard work and care for our students that I see every day. A little bit of disappointment with how the scores came out will only push us to keep going and growing. Veterans Day program was a success. We were able to host more than 30 veterans and their family members. Big thank you to Paula and the kitchen staff, as well as Miss Murray and Mrs. Frank for preparing the entertainment, and our teachers and students for making decorations. Our November parent-teacher conferences went well, and we had a great turnout, and we are looking forward to all the fun in December. Thank you, Brittany. 3-minute report. Well done, Brittany. That's it.
Any questions? All right. Future agenda items. Election notices, they are open in December.
Who's up?
It's myself and
And
Wayne
Cinch.
and Jim, yeah, Jim Miller. Non-intent to run are due December 22nd. See Jody.
She gave me all the
I
paperwork.
put them, both of those, the candidacy and the non-intent. So whichever ones you decide to turn into me, you guys have them all now.
Okay, in your packet, there should be a new and improved evaluation form. Please fill it out and get it to me like ASAP.
I put a due date of December 6th, so on December
Okay.
4th, I'm gonna get a list from Cindy and call people.
This is
I'm looking at you.
this is the guy,
Yeah,
right?
That's it. I put a copy on each one of your folders with all the questions and the evidence and some more explanation. But otherwise, it's and with that synopsis at the end. But that's just for Cindy.
Next December, not next December, but December, we'll talk about next year's calendar to be approved. And then, I would like to have a policy committee meeting sometime in January. You've just got a new packet of updates from Neola that we need to go over. So that's future.
Cindy, can I ask you again, because somebody's gonna ask me, who's up for election? Wayne, Jim Miller, and who else?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
All right, any announcements? Okay. Our next meeting date is December 17th. So don't come here Christmas Eve and expect a meeting.
Yeah. I think Brianna's outside the door. We're about to say adjourn, Brianna, so you have perfect timing. Okay. Might as well stay for the adjournment.
Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Yay!
Thank you.